In the vastness of eternity, before time as we understand it began, there existed only pure consciousness, an infinite ocean of divine intelligence. This is the power that Edgar spoke of nearly a century ago, a truth that resonates even more profoundly today as we awaken to our spiritual heritage. The creation of humanity was never what religious institutions portrayed it to be. It wasn't a deity molding clay figures from outside creation. Rather, as the sleeping prophet revealed through thousands of trance readings, we were born when spiritual beings, children of light, chose to experience the material realm. Creation, therefore, wasn't something done to us, but through us. This profound understanding shifts everything. You are not merely a physical being having occasional spiritual experiences. You are an eternal spiritual being having a temporary physical experience. The difference isn't semantic, it's transformative. Consider how differently you might live if you truly embraced that your essence emerged from the same creative force that ignited the stars. The cosmic intelligence that orchestrates the dance of galaxies is not separate from the awareness reading these words right now. This was the cornerstone of Edgar's revolutionary understanding, that the creator and creation are inseparable expressions of the same consciousness. When these spiritual beings first projected themselves into physical form, they did so through an act of divine imagination. Consciousness shaped itself into matter through the power of thought. This wasn't a fall from grace as traditionally taught, but rather an expansion of experience. There was no punishment involved, only learning, exploration, and growth. The material world became a classroom for souls to develop through countless incarnations. Each life experience was designed to help us remember our divine origins while learning through contrast. Pain teaches compassion. Limitation teaches appreciation. Separation teaches the yearning for oneness. What makes humans unique in creation is not our physical form, but our capacity for self-awareness. We alone among Earth's creatures can consciously recognize the Creator within the creation. We can know ourselves as both the wave and the ocean simultaneously. The ancient texts spoke of this in symbolic language, but Edgar articulated it with remarkable clarity. For the Earth is only an expression of divine thought in matter. Your body, your circumstances, your very life is a thought of God taking form. Not a static, completed thought, but a dynamic, evolving expression of infinite potential. The power that created us never separated from us. It flows through every cell, every atom, every quantum particle of your being. The air you breathe, the thoughts you think, the love you feel, all are movements of this greater intelligence expressing itself through your unique perspective. When Edgar spoke of our creation, he consistently emphasized that we were not manufactured like products on an assembly line. We emerged from the heart of divinity itself as expressions of its desire to know itself through relationship. This is why connection feels so fundamental to our well-being. It reflects our origin state of oneness. The material universe, with all its apparent solidity, is ultimately a frequency, a vibration of this higher consciousness condensed into form. Modern quantum physics now confirms what Edgar stated decades earlier, that matter is fundamentally energy, and energy is fundamentally information or consciousness. Understanding our true origins liberates us from the smallness of purely material identity. You were never just your body, your personality, your achievements or failures. These are simply costumes worn by the immortal spirit, valuable for experience, but not definitive of your essence. The journey from spirit to flesh was not a demotion, but a sacred adventure. It required tremendous courage to temporarily forget our unlimited nature, to experience the exquisite limitations of physical existence. This forgetting was by design, not as punishment, but as the necessary condition for authentic rediscovery. When we grasp this forgotten secret of our creation, everything changes. Suffering no longer appears as random cruelty, but as purposeful catalyst. Challenges become opportunities for spiritual muscles to strengthen. Even death transforms from fearsome end to beautiful transition. This higher understanding of our origins is what Edgar foretold would gradually reawaken in human consciousness during this pivotal era, not as a new truth, but as an ancient remembering, the spirit within recognizing itself after a long slumber in materiality. Within the infinite tapestry of existence, there moves a singular power, a cosmic consciousness that animates all things. A century ago, Edgar described this unified field of spiritual energy with remarkable precision, the same principle that quantum physics now identifies as the zero-point field. This is not merely theoretical knowledge, but transformative wisdom that can revolutionize your understanding of reality. This greater power is not some distant force residing beyond the clouds. It exists as the very foundation of reality itself, the quantum substrate from which all matter, energy, and consciousness emerge. When Edgar spoke of this unified field, he wasn't just sharing philosophical concepts. He was describing the actual mechanics of creation that science is only now beginning to comprehend. The zero-point field in physics represents an ocean of microscopic vibrations in the space between particles. Even in what appears as empty space, this field contains immense energy and information. Edgar's insights revealed that this field isn't merely energetic, it's conscious, intelligent, and fundamentally loving in nature. The universe isn't a cold, mechanical system, but a living, responsive expression of divine mind. Every atom, every molecule, every cell in your body vibrates with this intelligent energy. From the smallest quantum particle to the greatest celestial bodies, all existence pulsates as an expression of this creative consciousness. Nothing exists outside this field. It is the matrix from which all reality emerges and into which all eventually returns. What science now measures as energy, the ancient mystics experienced as divine presence. These aren't contradictory perspectives, but complementary ways of perceiving the same fundamental reality. The power that moves the electron in its orbit is the same power that moves your heart to love. Different expressions, same source. When you truly understand this principle, you recognize that you're never separate from this greater power. You exist within it as a unique expression of its infinite potential. Just as a wave is inseparable from the ocean, your consciousness is a localized expression of the universal consciousness. The boundaries that seem to separate you from the world around you are ultimately permeable and provisional. This understanding transforms how we perceive our relationship with the divine. Prayer isn't begging an external deity for favors, but aligning your individual consciousness with the greater consciousness from which you emerged. Meditation isn't escaping reality, but immersing yourself more fully in its fundamental nature. Edgar's readings consistently emphasize that this power operates through established spiritual laws. Just as the physical world follows predictable patterns like gravity and thermodynamics, the spiritual realm operates according to principles of vibration, attraction, and resonance. Understanding these laws allows you to work with this greater power rather than against it. One of the most profound aspects of Edgar's teaching was that this universal field responds to human thought and intention. Your consciousness isn't passive, but participatory in creation. Each thought sends ripples through the quantum field, attracting experiences that resonate with your dominant vibration. This isn't magical thinking, but the natural consequence of being a conscious expression within a conscious universe. The implications are profound. If your thoughts and emotions create ripples in the unified field, then consciousness becomes the primary creative force in your experience. You're not merely living in the universe is living through you, experiencing itself from your unique perspective. This greater power doesn't favor some people over others or demand specific religious rituals to access it. It responds to authentic alignment with its nature, to love, compassion, harmony, and truth. These qualities aren't just moral ideals, but practical alignments with the fundamental character of the universal consciousness. Edgar described how this power moves through specific energetic centers in the human body, what Eastern traditions call chakras. These aren't abstract concepts, but actual nexus points where the individual energy system interfaces with the universal field. When these centers function harmoniously, you become a clearer channel for this greater power to express through your life. The miracles described in spiritual traditions throughout history weren't violations of natural law, but demonstrations of higher laws. When someone aligned perfectly with this greater power, the seemingly impossible became possible. Not because rules were broken, but because the individual was operating from the level where the rules are written. This understanding elevates humanity from passive recipients of divine will to active co-creators with the universal intelligence. You're not here merely to worship the Creator, but to express creation through your unique perspective. Your highest purpose isn't submission to external authority, but authentic expression of the divine spark within. Edgar predicted that humanity would gradually awaken to this field-based understanding of reality, moving beyond the limitations of materialist science and dogmatic religion. We now stand at this threshold, as quantum discoveries increasingly align with ancient spiritual wisdom. The artificial boundaries between science and spirituality dissolve when both recognize they're studying different aspects of the same unified reality. To live consciously with this understanding means recognizing yourself as both individual and universal simultaneously. It means taking responsibility for your creative power while surrendering to the greater wisdom of the whole. It means living with reverence for all expressions of life, knowing that the same divine intelligence animates everything from microbes to mountains. The greater power that moves all things is not separate from the awareness reading these words right now. It pulses through your veins, fires across your neural pathways, and beats your heart without your conscious control. When you breathe, it breathes through you. When you love, it loves through you. You are not just connected to this power, you are an individualized expression of it. Throughout his thousands of trance readings, Edgar consistently revealed one profound truth. The spirit of the Creator dwells within you. This wasn't poetic metaphor, but literal description of our fundamental nature. Humanity wasn't created in the image of a physical form, but in the vibrational pattern of divine consciousness itself. This divine spark is our authentic essence, the eternal flame that distinguishes human life from all other expressions of creation. This indwelling divinity manifests as our capacity to consciously create, to love unconditionally, and to remember the infinite source from which we emerged. While all life contains consciousness, only humans possess this unique capability for self-reflection, to know that we know, to recognize ourselves as expressions of the Creator, while simultaneously being the Creator, experiencing itself in individualized form. The ancient spiritual traditions spoke of this truth in various ways. The Vedic sages proclaimed, Aham Brahmasmi, I am the infinite reality. Jesus taught that the kingdom of God is within you. Buddhist masters recognized the Buddha nature inherent in all beings. These weren't competing religious claims, but unified recognition of the same fundamental reality, that divinity isn't something external to worship, but an internal presence to embody. Your physical body, miraculous as it is, serves as a temporary vehicle for this eternal spark. The atoms composing your form are constantly changing, completely replacing themselves every 7 years. Yet your consciousness maintains continuity. This reveals that your true identity transcends physical matter. You are not a body having spiritual experiences, but a spiritual being having physical experiences. The divine spark expresses through you as intuition, those moments of knowing that transcend logical reasoning. It manifests as creativity, the ability to bring something new into existence. It reveals itself through compassion, recognizing your essential oneness with all life. These aren't supernatural abilities, but natural expressions of your divine heritage, finally awakening to itself. This understanding transforms how you perceive your relationship with the Creator. You're not a supplicant appealing to a distant deity, but a direct extension of divine consciousness itself. Prayer becomes not begging for external intervention, but alignment with your own highest nature. Meditation isn't escaping reality, but immersing yourself more deeply in fundamental reality. Edgar's readings repeatedly emphasized that this divine spark gives humans unique co-creative capacities. Your thoughts and emotions aren't just internal experiences, but vibrational frequencies that interact with the universal field. Through conscious intention aligned with divine principles, you participate directly in shaping your reality. This isn't magical thinking, but spiritual technology, working with rather than against the creative forces of the universe. The recognition of your divine nature isn't spiritual arrogance, but spiritual responsibility. It calls you to express the highest qualities of consciousness: love, compassion, wisdom, harmony in your everyday interactions. When you treat others with kindness, you're acknowledging the same divine spark within them. When you create beauty, you're channeling the same creative force that fashioned galaxies. Edgar taught that spiritual awakening isn't acquiring something new, but removing the accumulated layers of false identification that obscure your true nature. Like a sculptor removing excess stone to reveal the masterpiece within, spiritual practice strips away limiting beliefs, emotional wounds, and material attachments to uncover the divine presence that was always there. This perspective resolves the apparent contradiction between human limitation and divine potential. Your everyday personality, with its fears, desires, and imperfections, is the vessel being gradually transformed to more perfectly express your divine essence. The journey isn't about becoming something other than yourself, but becoming more authentically yourself, aligned with your highest nature. The divine spark within each person is why Edgar emphasized the sacredness of free will. Unlike other religious systems that demanded blind obedience to external authority, he recognized that genuine spiritual growth requires freedom to choose alignment with divine principles. The Creator doesn't demand worship, but invites partnership, conscious participation in the continuing process of creation. One profound implication of this teaching is the recognition that we're never truly alone. The divine presence that created the universe dwells within your consciousness at every moment. What appears as separation is actually invitation, the opportunity to reconnect consciously with your source, to remember what you temporarily forgot upon entering physical existence. Edgar foresaw that humanity would gradually awaken to this self-knowledge during this pivotal era. As materialistic science reaches its explanatory limits, as traditional religious systems fail to satisfy the deeper spiritual hunger, more people are discovering firsthand the divine reality within themselves. This isn't a new religion, but the essence of all authentic spiritual teachings, the direct experience of your own divine nature. This awakening isn't reserved for special individuals, but is humanity's collective destiny. Each person who recognizes their divine spark accelerates this planetary transformation by elevating the vibrational field around them. As more people align with their highest nature, the collective consciousness shifts from fear-based separation to love-based unity. This is the true meaning of spiritual evolution, not physical changes, but expanded awareness of our divine heritage. Understanding your divine nature transforms how you approach life's challenges. Difficulties aren't punishments from an external deity, but opportunities for your divine spark to shine more brightly through adversity. Pain, loss, and limitation become not meaningless suffering, but catalysts for spiritual growth. The pressure that transforms coal consciousness into diamond awareness. The divine spark within you recognizes truth, not through intellectual reasoning alone, but through resonance, the feeling of alignment when something matches your deepest knowing. This inner guidance system becomes increasingly reliable as you clear the interference of conditioning, fear, and attachment. The still, small voice within speaks with the authority of the universe itself when you learn to listen. Edgar's most revolutionary teaching was that this divine presence isn't dormant, but actively seeking expression through your unique life. You weren't created and then abandoned to struggle through existence alone. The same power that brought you into being continues to sustain, guide, and express through you at every moment. Your very breath is evidence of this continuing creative presence. As you integrate this understanding, your perception fundamentally shifts. You no longer see yourself as a separate entity struggling against the world, but as an integral expression of the universal intelligence that orchestrates galaxies. Your problems don't disappear, but your relationship to them transforms. You approach challenges with the resources of your divine heritage, rather than the limitations of your personal identity. The recognition of your divine spark culminates in the experience that mystics throughout history have described, the direct knowing of your oneness with all existence. In that moment of clarity, you recognize that the divinity within you is the same divinity within all beings. The boundaries that seem so solid dissolve in the light of this understanding. You are simultaneously a unique individual and the infinite wholeness from which all individuals emerge. This is the profound truth that Edgar saw awakening in human consciousness during this pivotal era, not as new information, but as remembered wisdom. The divine spark that has always dwelled within you is now being recognized, honored, and consciously expressed. As you embrace this truth, you fulfill the highest purpose of human existence, to know yourself as both the wave and the ocean, both the creation and the creator, experiencing itself through your one precious life. If these insights have resonated with your spirit, take a moment now to subscribe to this channel. Your journey of awakening has only just begun. Leave a comment below, sharing how this ancient wisdom speaks to your own divine spark. Remember, each subscription and comment helps spread this transformative message to others who are ready to remember who they truly are. The greater power awaits your engagement.